Do you know the difference between a Walmart grocery DC and a general merchandise DC? I get this question a lot, so I'm going to answer it today. I am at 7021, which is the numbers for the DC, Grandview, Washington, which is one of our grocery DCs. They have reapers that come out of here and dry groceries. And so they got me on a 2-stop load where, let's see, Everett, Washington was the first stop. I didn't see how many pallets it is, but so that'll be a live unload. And then Marysville, Washington. A lot of times you can do a drop and hook when you get to the last location with a dry grocery because it's just a dry van. Now, if you had a reefer, then you probably would have to take that back to the DC where it came from. We do have some instances where maybe you can drop it off at a drop yard, but overall, that thing needs to come back, and that's generally what they want you to do. Occasionally, there'll be a backhaul. I've had one in 18 years in a reaper, so since I'm not from this DC, I suppose that's common. Maybe these guys do a lot more, I don't know. But, you know, the reason I bring all this up is, well, for one, that's what I'm doing today. But for two, you know, I know we have a lot of grocery DCs in the country and a lot of people that have contacted me about getting a job at Walmart. They ask a lot of questions about how it is, you know, is it going to be like the way I show it on here? And I try to explain to them that I work out of a GM DC, which is general merchandise. And so no, it's not exactly the same. It's quite a bit different actually. But I mean, if you guys watch my channel, you know I'm not at my DC for pretty much the whole week. But mostly I do like drop and hook, general merchandise. And when I go out here in other areas, I'll go to one of these grocery DCs and I'll help them out. But generally it's just 1 or 2 loads. And then at that point, it's probably time for me to head back home. So I don't have to deal with as much as somebody that's in a grocery DC. You know, a lot of times they'll be constantly hauling groceries, especially in these bigger cities. You know, this is just what I've heard. You know, every day that's what they do. You know, they just go haul those groceries. They got a route or whatever, or, you know, there's all these different situations. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It makes good money just like what I do. Matter of fact, it's how I make half my money because I'm up here a lot. But, you know, it's hard to beat just go to a store, drop and hook. Get an empty, go back, or get pallets and take it to a pallet yard and drop a hook again. I mean, it's hard to beat that. Not so much that you're going to get paid more because you get more miles. I mean, I know that in truck driving, that's the biggest thing everybody's hung up on. Oh, if you don't get the miles, you don't make the money. Yeah, I mean, you do want the miles, it's true. But here, you can get paid with all the activity. And you only got 14 hours legally in a day to work. So, and then your driving will start counting down if you don't, you know, get that done before you get to a certain hour. So, you know, that's really what the problem is in trucking for a driver. You know, am I going to have to shut down and drive less or have less time to go do more activity? In other words, I go to a store, I get hung up or something like that. Let's say I go to unload this at the first stop. And for whatever reason, things aren't going well there. They got one person, they don't have enough room in the back of the store, they're trying to make room, I don't know. And I'm there for like an hour and something, you know. And it's like, really? For like 5 pallets? But it happens. Sometimes it happens. Well, it's not so much that I'm not getting more miles. So if I'm not moving, I'm not making the money. I mean, that is part of it. But the other part is that I'm burning up my 14 hours. And so there's 2 different possibilities of making money. Moving, and then there's actually showing up somewhere, having a live load or unload happen, do a drop and hook. You know, there are other things, just arriving at places we get paid. And so the more you take our 14 hours away, the less chances you have to do either one of those things, get miles or have activity. So, I've never been a fan of the grocery thing. I tell people, if you want a job here, try to go GM. The less hassle, the better. But you will be doing grocery. I mean, unless you live in some unique place in the country that I don't know about. But I mean, we go multiple states over from where our DC is. And yeah, you're going to be stopping by a grocery DC most likely. So, I mean, there's no escaping it. It's just nice to be based out of a GM. So you can start your week with a GM load and hopefully end it. And then if you have to do a few in between, well, then that's fine. So just a little insight on the difference between a grocery DC and a GM DC, because a lot of people don't know. They have no idea. People that want to get a job here, they think, oh, I'm just going to drive for Walmart, Yep. Could be groceries, could be GM. Well, it's not going to be in the same DC, I can tell you that. So there are some details in there. And, also another thing to know about grocery DCs, a lot of times they have night runs. For me, that's completely out of the question. That is not happening. I'm not doing that. When I first started driving a truck, I did some night driving, and I did not like that. Human beings should be awake during the day. Now, I get it. There's good reasons why some people like it. They say, oh, there's no traffic. I can get more miles. Less chances to get an accident. Yeah, okay. Yeah, those are true. But that's not enough for me. I'm good. I like daylight hours. And, and so they're not all that way. I mean, there's plenty of grocery DCs where they have people that run during the day. Maybe they do like a swing shift type thing where it's afternoon into the evening. And then there's a lot of people that do overnight. I would imagine they have to do overnight in some of these cities like Chicago and places like that, because you've got, some in a reefer. It's kind of time sensitive to get there. They need to stock the shelves and it gets really bad traffic, or, really busy at the store. It's probably better for all that to take place in the middle of the night. I get that. And I'm not trying to down it. I'm just saying it's not for me. But I've talked to a lot of people that are interested in getting a job at Walmart. And I take it for granted that I know all these things. And then I start talking to them. And I realize pretty quickly, oh, they have no idea, that these two different types of places will make a huge difference in your life. Either one will make good money. Personally, I feel like I'd make more money if I just did GM all the time. But, like I said, you're not going to get away from not having to do some groceries. So that's just the way it is. Reefer, to me, is the worst because you got a couple of things. Let's say you get a reefer load. You have 2-3 different stores you need to stop. It's no big deal to get a couple of pallets off, but it is with a reefer because we have three different zones, temperature zones. So it's not possible to put all the freight that you're going to be getting right there in the back. So that means that the associates have to go in and move some of these other pallets out of the way to get your pallets out that are in the next zone. Sounds simple, but if one of those pallets fall over because somebody's not good with a pallet jack, or it doesn't get put back in there right, and then you get to the next stop and it's falling over, anybody that works here knows you have a pallet falling over. Yeah, it's going to be a bit. I mean, like I said, your 14's getting blown off. You're not going to be able to get more activity, get more miles, because you're going to sit there and you're going to wait for those associates to, get another pallet and restack that thing. And if it's a mess, then they got to clean it up and all that. So, not a big fan of the reefer thing. I mean, a lot of times it goes just fine, but when it doesn't, yeah, it really becomes a problem. So, matter of preference. Some people wouldn't have it any other way, but I'm just basically educating you guys on some of the things we do here and different types of jobs we have. Walmart is currently hiring at DCs across the nation, places like Red Bluff, California, Menominee, Wisconsin, which currently has a $10,000 sign-on bonus, North Platte, Nebraska, Ottawa, Kansas, also $10,000 sign-on bonus, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Salisbury, Maryland, Seymour, Indiana, Spring Valley, Illinois, Sparks, Nevada. We have an overnight position for a $10,000 sign-on bonus in Tomo, Wisconsin, Woodland, Pennsylvania, Washington Courthouse, Ohio, Welford, South Carolina, Garrett, Auburn, Indiana, Cheyenne, Wyoming, currently with a $10,000 sign-on bonus, Coran, Utah, Coldwater, Michigan, Gas City, Indiana, Hermiston, Oregon. Check often at drive4walmart.com. You know, don't get me wrong on the running for a grocery DC. It's not all bad. I mean, it has some benefits to it. You know, one of the benefits is their deliveries are like a time window. And basically that means that they need that load delivered between this time and this time. And it's a pretty big window usually. Like, for instance, I'm doing dry groceries right now. And so it's in a dry van, and it's between 9 in the morning and 8 o'clock at night. Or we use military time between 0900 and 2000. That's a pretty big window. I mean, granted, it is 200 miles to my first stop, which I've gone about 130 right now. So I got about 70 more miles before I get to the first stop. And then it's only 12 miles away for the second stop. So, I mean, there's a lot of leeway on when I need to deliver this. I mean, right now I don't know what time it is, but it's, I can tell you exactly what time it is. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning right now, and I've only got 70 miles to go. And then, like I said, 12 miles to the next store. And, you know, that gives me opportunity to kind of take a break wherever I want and, you know, however much time. I mean, within reason, of course. And so one of the things about going to other DCs is that, you know, location. I'm up here on Snoqualmie Pass right now, and I like to stop here on top where the ski resort is. And, well, in the spring and summertime, it's pretty nice up here. I mean, some really nice mountains. There are some peaceful areas. Unfortunately, the freeway's right here, so it's a little noisy, but yeah, you know, I want to take a break where it's a little more pleasant, a little more scenery, and there's some places I like to stop and eat or just relax. So it gives me an option with all the time. I mean, trucking isn't like normal jobs where you have to take your lunch hour exactly at this certain time, or you have to take these 10-minute breaks at these exact times. I mean, legally, I think we are supposed to take breaks every so many hours and this kind of thing. But I mean, overall, the only thing that really is mandatory on us is that within the first 8 hours, we need to not be on the drive line for 30 minutes. That's pretty easy to do. I mean, I could be in the DC, picking up my trailer and fueling the truck. That's all counted towards that 30 minutes. So, I mean, basically, you really only need to do one 30-minute break basically in one day, because we work off a 14-hour clock, and, 8 and 8, 16. So, I mean, as long as you take it later in the day, you're good. But, you know, we kind of just stop whenever we want. It's a matter of that ETD, you know, estimated time of departure, meaning that at my last place I'm going to be, what time am I going to be available and what hours am I going to have available? I could change that and should change that throughout the day as things progress. And so if I want to take a 30, 40-minute break somewhere in the woods to go check out a creek or whatever, I can do that. Obviously, if you take that too far and you do it like all the time and you're not getting much work done, well, you know, that's going to be a problem. But I mean, you know, you can't beat that on the freedom. And if you're into photography, up here's a pretty good spot to be. I mean, well, here, check out these mountains here. Yeah, this camera really isn't the best for it, but I mean, you get an idea. You know, you got some pretty good scenery around here. So this is the place I'd rather be stopping to take a break or relax, get out and walk around a little bit. But most of the time I just use times like this to, well, to talk to you guys on here. So definitely more pleasant than a lot of other places. If you've watched my videos in the past and considered applying to drive for Walmart, consider using me as a referral. A referral will give you a call back faster. Use this information here on the screen. Copy this and use it on your application when applying. All you have to do is go to this website right here, driveforwalmart.com. That's the number 4, walmart.com. And look for the location that you'd like to work at. As long as you live within 250 miles of the DC, then you can apply for it. There'll be an apply button at the bottom. And as usual, whether you use me as a referral or not, I invite you to send me an email if you have any questions or you need any help, and I'd be glad to help. That's why I made this channel in the first place. So I delivered the store, and now I'm 700 miles south, approximately, from the store up there in Washington. Doing exactly what I said it would probably happen. I'll end my week with a GM load. So they gave me Martinez. I stopped off at Red Bluff and picked up the Martinez load, which is down by the Bay Area, and probably just deliver that in the morning. May just come back empty to Red Bluff and be done for the week, or they'll give me some kind of backhaul to bring back to Red Bluff. Either way, it'll be not a full day tomorrow, most likely, and then I'll be heading home. But, you know, the whole point of everything I was saying was that, you know, there's differences between grocery and GM. And I know as a Walmart driver, I take advantage of, or I take for granted that everybody knows how this works and what each distribution center does, and how our job, you know, how our jobs are different. And the fact of the matter is that I come across a lot of people. Why would they know? You know, they don't know. They have no reason to know because they don't work for Walmart. They don't do that kind of trucking, so they don't know. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit for you. Anyway, had a great trip. It was, you know, yesterday, actually, after I was done talking this last time, I went over and delivered the store and hit some of the worst traffic ever. Like, for the rest of the day, it was terrible. And I think I averaged like 27 miles an hour. And I was thinking, oh, this day is shot, you know. Excuse me. You know, nothing can salvage this. You know, at the end of the day, I checked and I still made like $410 for the day, which makes me think, man, that was probably like a $500 day or something. I don't know. It would have been if I had to hit all that, but it turned out good. And for a short week, 4 days, pretty good running. Really enjoyed it. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys, and I will catch you guys later.